Well, we have four categories or four themes. So the first has to do with the present. So one question, I'm sorry to ask that, but probably people want to know if you have any news regarding what's happening in Port Said.
It's because I'm actually here most of the time. I'm probably following the news just as you follow it. I'm hearing that the fact-finding committee by the parliament are about to release a report that say the truth, and they tend to believe that it is actually it's not organic. It was planned. There were people behind it. Who planned it? I don't know yet. But again, as I just said, they want us to speak about this. We want to speak about what should happen. It's not what is happening. Everyone is discussing what is happening. There will be the majority of the people will discuss what is happening. We should discuss what should happen because we do not want to be getting, again, disoriented. What our biggest mistake on 11th of February is that we did not focus on the first and the most important goal, the handing over of power and the ending of the transitional period. If we would have focused on the 6 months, the plan have been completed in 6 months, we wouldn't have been discussing these issues right now. And if we keep going reactively to the events that happen, if all of us keep going reactively to the events that happen, we're not going to go anywhere.
On the same theme, the present, سؤال بالعربي كيف تتعامل مصرنا مع الأيديولوجيات المختلفة الاشتراكية الرأسمالية الإسلامية؟
كل الناس عارفة مصرنا ولا؟ So we just formed a group about a month ago, a political lobbying group, hoping that we institutionalize the process of feedback and pressure to parliaments, president, those whomever in power to ensure that the revolution goals will be achieved. So the first thing in the movement was that we want to send a message to everyone that we can unite again. So we have an Islamist, liberal, religious scholar, a socialist, a cat lover, as a people coming from different backgrounds, a media guy, myself, and two political doctors, Mu'taz Abdel Fattah and Omar Ashur. So we just decided to gather and see how many Egyptians are like us, who are sick of the useless debates that happen on TV, and want basically to send a message of unity. And so far we have 27,000 members. We have been working on one file until it happens. We've agreed that we're only going to work on the transitional period. We're currently pushing and lobbying with the parliament as well as with the people protesting, lobbying for the presidential elections to happen right after the Shura elections, because we do not want the Egyptian constitution to be written under the military rule, which is basically the roadmap that 14 million Egyptians have agreed to on 19th of March. It was great spirit when we worked together. There are lots of common things between us. I mean, Egypt is so deep in problems that all these differences are really insignificant. I was talking to one guy who's like, are you going to call for changes when it comes to the economy, with a socialist mind or a liberal mind or an Islamic mind? I said we are so deep in problems that any solution would get us in a better position than where we are. But definitely what's going to happen right after the transition of power is that we're building and forming teams of experts and advisors, and we want to work directly with them to go with clear recommendations of policies to the parliament and to the government to make sure that things will get better. And our main focus is the poverty issue, so the social justice as well as the education.
Okay, the second group of questions has to do with the future. So one question is, what is in your opinion, what's the estimate for Egypt to settle? What's your estimation of the time?
I'm not an expert, I have to say. And I don't know what do you mean by settle. all what I care about as an Egyptian citizen is that we start seeing that we are going in the right direction. We can be patient with change, seeing change, but we want to see change happening. And I think this will be very clear after we see the leadership, the new president and his team.
Actually, the second question has to do with the president. Do you think there is a possibility that Egyptians will elect a representative, a president who will really represent the aspirations of the revolution?
So it's a good question. I think, first of all, I keep getting this question here in the West about, aren't you disappointed from the results of the elections? And my answer to that is that I took to the street because I believed that the Egyptian people had been denied the right to choose whomever they want governing them. And I went to the street not to recommend someone else and say that he is the ultimate good for you. I went to the street to say, give the right back to the Egyptians and let them choose and let them learn the democratic process. And based on this, I would say that whomever was elected, whomever president that will be elected, will definitely reflect on the choice of Egyptians. Whether it is the right choice in my point of view or not, it's irrelevant, but I will work with that president even if I don't disagree with them. And as for the spirit and the revolution, I think the people on the street are the ones who enforce and make sure that the agenda being discussed, the plans being put, are the ones that are pro-revolution. And I believe this will happen. I think that the next Egyptian president is going to deal with a new generation of Egyptians. And of course, his name is not going to be on bridges, nor universities, nor colleges, nor government agencies. There will be no other pharaoh, and Egyptians are very sensitive about this, and they will not make it happen. So I hope that the choice would be the one I pick at the end of the day. But if it doesn't happen, we have to all work together. We have to institutionalize our, not underestimate the power of the critical mass. The regime fell because they completely underestimated the power of the critical mass. They thought 100,000 is irrelevant. I remember when when the Barada'i campaign was collecting signatures, and they reached 1 million. Fathi Surur or someone said, okay, 1 million out of 85 million Egyptians, it doesn't matter. We can get 5 millions. That would say the completely opposite way. But anyone who understands the power of the critical mass, the ones who are educated, who can move and shake the opinions of others, will lose eventually. So it's very important that we all unite, and this is great work you guys are doing here. If there is a united voice, that is a very strong voice, and that will be very effective in deciding what happens next in Egypt. So I hope you all get this. I know for a fact that we have, as Egyptians, we cannot work together for so many years and for so many reasons. We failed to form groups and allies and lobby groups and work together. And بننشطر يعني every time there's a group created, after a while, 4 or 5 groups come out of it. I think it's time to unite and find the common agenda, because the next phase of Egypt will require lots of pressure, lots of lobbying, lots of leadership, as the ambassador have said. People want to see examples and want to see, for example, the Egyptian Americans contributing back to the country in a significant way, in a way that is noticeable by the masses, not just close circles of whom they, for example, donate to or help, or we want to see mega things happening coming out of you guys in the country.
This question resonates with what you just said. So the revolutionary groups are so fragmented. How can you make them work together, come together?
Well, for the revolution, I think that was how the DNA of the revolution. The DNA of the revolution, that it was leaderless. Everyone came with their own agenda, but they agreed to a single demand. Trying to bring this all together at the moment might not be very effective. Time have passed already, and we have a parliament, for example, and we are about to elect a president. So the concept of let's group everyone together now probably is not going to happen. Yet, Masrina, for example, we're working with all the different groups. Whenever there is an issue, we sit down and we all discuss what should happen. Like how we agreed that everyone's demand is going to be the president first, and that there is no constitution being written under the military rule for a reason, of course, which is to make sure that the military, which we have all the respect for, and I love the Egyptian military, so that no one say I'm a traitor, that the military does not enjoy, the military does not enjoy any benefits. Egypt was under a military rule. This is a fact for over 60 years. And giving any organization in the country, despite its status and how important is it, a special status in the constitution would result in a problem. This problem can risk the democracy in this country that we want to build. So this is the focus point. This is something that I hope, with your help, with everyone in Egypt's help, that would be the case when the constitution is being drafted and written.
Okay, the third group has to do with your organization. So one question, how can we create institutions that teach, advocate for civil society? And I think it touches on your initiative.
For example, our movement is currently illegal in Egypt. The legal status of it is illegal because in Egypt it is not, you're not allowed to create political movements. You can either create parties or NGOs that work on nothing but that work on anything but politics. So the civil society, for example, there is a law being drafted now, which is pretty much as bad as the law that exists now. One key thing that needs to happen in the country is empowering the civil society, because you have the government, you have the parliament, and then you need the civil society to help the country, not just in charitable work, but actually in social development and entrepreneurship, as well as political lobbying. And this will have a lot of efforts. In fact, we have prioritized that after the elections take place, we are going to work on this, at least to change our status from illegal to legal.
This group
بس
has
في ديمقراطية هو في مصر بنقول we are illegal and لا وهناك بنقول لا والإخوان نفس الكلام. Yeah, of course.
A couple of slightly personal questions. So واحد بالعربي، لماذا اختفيت من الساحة وقد رأينا الأثر العظيم لك على الشباب؟
أنا مبدئيا ما اختفتش أو كونسبت الاختفاء. أنا ظهرت بس في منى الشاذلي لسبب إن مباشرة بعد ما خرجت من السجن حسيت إن أنا لازم أطلع أكلم الناس.
You turned in like a million person the second day. Yeah.
ما أعتقد يعني okay. It's basically people wanted to hear that and react based on it. فأنا حسيت إن أنا عايز أكلم الناس، لكن بعد كده مش دوري إن أنا أطلع. I'm not a media guy. وأنا حتى هنا في أمريكا دلوقتي عشان الكتاب، مش عشان أي حاجة إلا الكتاب. I prefer to work away from the lights because I don't think it's good. I think it corrupts and it has a negative impact not just on myself but also on the people who love me and relate to me. They think I'm basically getting out of the real work and doing the light work. والنقطة الثانية، احنا مش عايزين نصنع فراعنة تاني او آلهة حتى بمختلف الكلام. النهارده حتى يعني بصراحة حتى المديح اللي أنا خدته أعتقد إنه أنا ما استحقوش، بلس إنه مش عايزين نقعد نمدح بعض كده، كفاية. الناس نزلت يوم 25 يناير ما حدش كان يعرف أصلاً مين ورا الدعوة، وبالعكس أول ما الكلام اتحط كل الناس أدوبتت الحركات السياسية والناس العادية. الناس نزلت عشان حقها مش عشان مين اللي بيدعي لحقها. والسبيريت دي أو الروح دي هي الروح اللي بتخلي الناس تكمل. One of the most important things which I discuss in the book, the concept of anonymity, why it was important beside the obvious security reasons that you don't want to be arrested, is that the cause is not personalized. There is no person behind the cause. It's the cause. Ultimately, people are connected to the fact that they are sick of police brutality in Egypt and nothing else. If you personalize the cause, then you can attack the person to make the cause look ridiculous, and or you can question the intentions of the person. Genuinely question the intentions. You are not. I have people who question my intentions, and I cannot control it. And they are not necessarily bad. They are good people, but they just don't believe in what I say. So I think in New Egypt, we should stay away from creating idols. We should focus on creating causes that everyone connects with. I also think that a lot of people have sacrificed, and I've got a lot of credit, while a lot of them don't know, you don't know anything about them. I was visiting one of the Musabin, the injured people in the revolution, about a month ago. He's a guy who lost his eyesight. الخرطوش ضرب في وشه. That was on 28th of January. And he lives in Mbaba, and his wife told me, I wished, since we were talking about the gas, she said, I wished I could cook you lunch, but we can't find Ambuba. We can't find the gas. Yeah, they buy it for 40 pounds, but she can't even find it. So that's a one guy that should get the real credit, not me, because I did not really sacrifice. It was much easier if you compare it to all those great people who are, a lot of them were forgotten now. And I urge you, by the way, if you can, don't believe in what is being said about the injured people getting all the benefits. Please, I think if Islam, you can, if we can work together on this. There are lots of people who are injured, who need treatment outside Egypt, and a lot of them in need of financial support. Like this guy, for example, they gave him 15,000 pounds and that's it. So he no longer have work, and his son has a brain problem. He pays for him 600 pounds a month just for medication. So I'm not talking about him specifically. There are tons of people like him. And the fact is, look at this guy and try and be him for a while and tell me if you are really going to be proud to be Egyptian going through all this. And the guy is actually proud to be Egyptian despite all these challenges. So I urge you, if you can, if Islam can take a role, if Eid can take a role in this, I'm happy to connect you with people back home who will definitely help getting you the cases, the legitimate cases that you can support and help sponsor for a better, to get better treatment for their diseases. I just think that those are the ones who should get the credit. I genuinely think that I've done a job just like every one of you. It was behind the keyboard. It was very easy, and I shared it especially for that, so that you understand to what it was not that miraculous, or as the media likes to do. Probably you were connected with me emotionally, but that's another thing that happened on 8th of February. It was just a human interaction. But do not forget the fact that the martyrs are the ones who are heroes, and the injured people are the ones who are heroes. And we should, if there is light, we should give that light to them and not to people like me.
سؤال من أهلنا في سوريا. نحن من سوريا ونتمنى أن نصل لمرحلة ما بعد زوال النظام. هل لديك نصيحة يمكن مشاركتها مع إخوتك السوريين؟
أنا لدي دعاء بس الحقيقة، لأنه الوضع في سوريا صعب جدا، وإحنا ما مرناش بالتجربة دي. We didn't go through the experience of the army, which is paid by the people, shooting his own people and killing thousands. أتمنى إن شاء الله ربنا ينصر، يعني ربنا ينصر إخواتنا السوريين. أنا أعتقد بشكل جازم إنه بشار الأسد انتهى، هي مسألة وقت بس.
What are you going to do with the book's proceeds?
طب ليه الإحراج ده؟
ده اللي جاي أصعب كمان.
So the book proceeds are $2.25 million. I have decided to dedicate $1 million for an NGO that I have started, but I'm not working on it. There is a team now working. Basically, it's an organization that hopes on improving education using technology. So we are getting all the hard topics of the schools and doing it in a fun way using YouTube, trying to reintroduce the concept so that the kids will not memorize, rather will try and understand and develop their critical thinking. And then another chunk will go to the families of the injured people and the martyrs, and basically for the injured through their, for their medications. And finally, I'm looking now at other areas where I can basically donate for organizations, NGOs in Egypt that work on social developments. And I have to say, it's not kind of me to donate the money. I think I had this, the moment I decided to write the book, I felt it was going to be so shameful that people have died for this revolution to happen, and no one would have bought the book without the revolution succeeded. It's so shameful that people die and I become rich out of the book. So I think this is not mine. This is just the experience that I went through a revolution that came at the expense of many great Egyptians, many brave Egyptians who sacrificed their lives or did an amazing job in protecting it. And I hope إنه يعني that would help the country, and وربنا يتقبل.
How are you still employed at Google? How are you able to function professionally after the revolution?
No, I'm on a long-term leave.
So are you in Egypt now?
I spend most of the time in Egypt. My family is still in Dubai. My kid is at school there, so they're still in Dubai.
Okay. Finally, our last station is with the Egyptian Americans. How can we help? And I will add one part to this question from my side, given the fact عمليات التخوين والتمويل الأجنبي. How can we send something and then not be labeled as خونة or فلوس أمريكاني ملوثة?
هو أنتم مش خونة ولا إيه؟ I think right after 11th of February, I started to feel sad about the people who accuse me of being a traitor or question my intentions. But then over time, I overcame it. At the end of the day, they are victims. Those who do that are victims. Most of them are victims. They are doing this because they, through the, tons of years, they haven't seen examples of doing good without bad intentions. They were always, been used and abused. So it's very easy for them to believe that anyone is a traitor. I'm dealing with God directly. I don't need anyone to judge my intentions. And if someone thinks that you are a traitor, it's their opinion. It doesn't really matter.
But are some of the organizations in Egypt afraid to get money from expats in the US specifically or Europe because they may be labeled as,
Actually, you can channel. So the way you can do it is that you can channel the money to Egypt using your personal accounts and then move it. But again, the technicalities of it, there must be a way. I mean, you can even create an NGO in Egypt and put the money for it. But what I recommend is don't get dragged to these accusations, and in fact try and prove them wrong and try and work. It makes a whole lot of difference if every one of us works for this country. I was just saying an example of one lady. I'm not gonna name her name because she doesn't announce her name. She have helped over 2,000 injured people in Egypt during the revolution time to get the money. She follows their cases. She visits a lot of them in their houses. She cries with them, and she takes them to psychiatrists. She had been the mother of the injured people, and she's just one person. I believe a lot of you can do miracles. You can do big things that make a huge impact in the country. So don't think of what others will think of you, because at the end of the day, you will find the ones who appreciate what you're doing, the ones who hate you, the one who loves you, and the ones who think that you're doing this for an agenda. But the fact of the matter is we're not dealing with the people directly. We are doing this for the love of our country and without waiting for appreciation.
We almost came to the end. I want to thank you. I know you're extremely tired, and we promised that we'll be done by 9:30. We still have some time outside for you to sign a couple of copies, if that's okay. Well, that will increase the proceeds. And at the end,
الكتاب بقى يا جماعة.
thank you so much for being with us. That was a pleasure.
تحيا مصر.
تحيا مصر.